Thank you. How long do I have to wait for that?
Oh, here, special delivery.
That's how they did it back then.
Yeah, it was a little slower than that. In fact, a lot of times, you know, back in the day, we used to write each other these things called letters. So I know in your generation, you probably don't do that very often, but we used to do that quite a bit. And that's just one of the things that we're going to have on display at the Shell Point Museum next week at our archive event. So we're really hoping that residents are going to come out for this event. We're very excited about it.
And I know residents just received an invitation in the mail for the event.
That's right. And I thought we could maybe review it because we've had some folks asking us questions and we want to make sure everybody knows all of the details. So the first thing I just want to point out is that there are some specific times for the event. It is going to be next Tuesday, October the 23rd, and in fact, when I say next Tuesday, I mean really it's just a couple of days away. So Tuesday, October the 23rd, and it's going to be held at the Village Church. And we've got a schedule just to try to make it easier for everyone to be able to come and go and get to the event. First of all, you can spend as much time or as little time as you want going through the museum. Let me just sort of paint a picture for you. We're going to take all of the chairs out of the church and we're going to be setting up this huge display of Shell Point's timeline. So as you know, because you've been helping on this project, there are over 30 8-foot tall boards as part of this display, and they're going to give the entire 50-year history. So those are going to be set up, and individuals will be able to come and you can walk through that display and read and see photos that you've never seen before from Shell Point's past. But then to make it fun, we thought we'd add a few more components. So for instance, we're going to have a lot of items from the different decades of the 1950s, 60s, all the way to today. And I think that a lot of you will see things that you remember having. Now, I don't know, are you much of a reader?
I think when I get to the 90s section is when I'll start noticing things.
You'll recognize some things.
Yes.
Once you get to the 90s and the 2000s, that's right. Of course, everything will be digital.
Yes.
But back in the day when we actually read books, now this was a big debate that young girls had in junior high. Or at least in my time period, was were you a Nancy Drew fan or were you Trixie Belden?
Okay.
Because it was an either or kind of thing. Now, quite frankly, I was a Trixie Belden fan, but I had a lot of friends who were Nancy Drew fans, and we enjoyed these books very much. It wasn't until years later that I found out that the same person wrote most of these books. And so I thought, well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
But Nancy Drew and Trixie Belden, we've got a lot of those on hand. Of course, we have some of the old photography equipment. This was called a Brownie box camera, and this is the camera that I took with me to Girl Scout camp. So here, let's take a selfie.
How about this one? I was saying, imagine walking around taking photos of your family with this, carrying this everywhere.
So convenient, so convenient.
Well, and I'm sure when residents are walking, browsing through all the decades, they're going to notice a lot of items that'll kind of be nostalgic and bring them back to
Absolutely.
growing up.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit about the time frames. In the invitation that everyone received, we tried to break out a little bit of a schedule. Now, just understand, the display is going to be set up all day on Tuesday. So certainly, if you're busy in the morning and you absolutely cannot, maybe you have a doctor's appointment or something, cannot come during the morning time frame, please don't let that stop you from coming in the afternoon. But what we did do is we suggested some times. So right at 9 o'clock, we're going to take a quick ribbon cutting photo because this is one of our 50th anniversary events, and Martin Chappelle and the executive team will be there, and we're going to do a ribbon cutting to open the event at 9 o'clock. Then anybody who's there at that time can join us in the photo. Then from 9 till 1, all of our residents are invited to attend. And then, because we wanted to try to make it easier for all of our residents who live in assisted living and at the pavilion because of transportation and also walkers and wheelchairs, we are giving them a suggested time of 1:30 to 2:30, and we are going to do a few things that are going to be a little special for them. At all of the earlier time frames, when folks come to the soda shop, they'll come up to the counter and the soda jerks will serve them their ice cream, and then they'll go and find a place to sit, or they can keep walking around. But with the assisted living and skilled nursing, we thought that we would have them be seated and then we will serve them. So we'll come to the table and take their order for their ice cream treat or their little snack, and then we'll go get it and bring it to them. But also it gives them a little more room to navigate the displays and things like that, and to not feel rushed.
Right. There's a lot to see.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot to see. So that's the reason why we have that 1:30 to 2:30 time frame for assisted living and for the pavilion. Then I'm really excited about the fact that from 2:30 to 5:30, we're basically inviting all of the employees as they get off of their different shifts to come through and to view the display as well, and to have an ice cream treat before they head home. So that's the reason for the different times. But as I said, if there is only a certain little window of your day that allows for you to come, just come. We want you to be able to see it. It's a lot to see, and we don't want you to miss it. We've had some questions about transportation.
That's right. Yeah, their transportation will be running on its normal schedule, and in addition, there will be multiple buses getting you to and from the event. So you are able to drive in the parking garage, but we recommend hopping on transportation because we're hoping a big turnout's going to show up. So.
And you know, it's just very difficult, as you know, around the church. Parking can be an issue, and like she said, we are hoping for a big turnout. So Diane Morton from Transportation has scheduled numerous buses in addition to those regular buses, and they'll be rotating through all of the communities throughout the entire morning up until 1 o'clock. Then at 1:30, we're going to be doing special transportation to the assisted living facilities and the pavilion. So that's what's happening with transportation, but plenty of time for people to hop on the bus, Gus.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, I also wanted to just point out some of the special things that will be on display, obviously in addition to our memorabilia. You know, a lot of folks don't realize that we have an entire archive library over in a storage unit, and it's massive. Bob Southern, who worked here, as you know, for more than 30 years as the Director of Project Development, amassed a huge collection of Shell Point papers, newsletters, old brochures, old signs, documents, important correspondence. And so we've been going through the archives, and usually nobody gets a chance to see these. It's sort of like the Library of Congress. You know it's there, but you never get to visit, you know? So basically, we've gotten Bob to come over and some of the folks that he used to work with and help us go through that and pull some meaningful things, and those will also all be on display as well. So we're excited about that. We have pulled a lot of fun old photos. I mean tons of old photos, and those will all be out, and I think a lot of you will recognize some of the folks from the earlier years, and you may even see yourself. So that'll be a lot of fun. And then let's see, let's go through the list. We've also have the artifacts that were pulled out of the time capsule.
Right.
And so a lot of folks are very interested to know what was in that, and so we will have those on display in a special location. And then we are going to have some fun trivia games, and they're not going to be where it starts and stops at a certain time. The games will just be set up, and they'll just be where, as you're moving through, you answer questions, you drop your name in, you do some guessing, and then later we'll draw from the winning guesses the prizes, and then we'll make sure that we deliver those to you so that you don't have to wait or be present to win. So we've got a lot of fun prizes and some really fun trivia questions and contests and things like that.
And I believe there's a takeaway item of a timeline they can take home with themselves.
That's right. As a special sort of a little memento of our 50th anniversary and of Shell Point's history, those 30 boards that I talked about that are going to be on display, which are massive, so you certainly couldn't carry around those in your wallet. But what we've done is we are making a printout of the timeline. It sort of folds up like a map, but that's something that people can take away. So if they weren't able to look at everything while they were going through, or they wanted to go back and sort of remember what they looked at, they'll have that. I'm also excited to say that we have that week representatives from the Christian and Missionary Alliance, which, as you know, is the denomination that owns Shell Point Village. Oh, look, I'm calling it Shell Point Village because I've been writing so much history. But anyway, they are going to be here from their archives department, and they are going to have a huge display of the CMA history. And so that's going to be off to one side, and our residents will be able to go and see that. And we also have their timeline as well. So just a lot of history, but also a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to be great. We have some surprises, but we're not going to tell you about them yet. You'll just have to come and see for yourself, but it should be a lot of fun. And then let's talk about the refreshments.
Yes.
So everybody always wants to know, well, you know, give me something good to eat. So we have a 1950 soda shop that's going to be set up. And you'll be able to come over and pick from the menu of what you want to order. We're going to have Coke floats and root beer floats. We're going to have ice cream sundaes. And for those of you who are looking for sugar-free options, we are going to have some bags of peanuts. We're going to have some different sugar-free items. So we're hoping to sort of entice everyone with some treats. And so we'll have a lot of other things there as well that will take you back in time in terms of treats and sweets to enjoy.
And it's free.
And it's free, our favorite thing.
Yes.
So that's a lot to take in.
Right. And so they have their invitations, and if you misplaced it or you're not sure, in the Shell Point Life that came out for October, it is on the page, and that shows all the dates and times, so you have all the information.
That's right. So please join us on Tuesday. We would love to see you there and be a part of our 50th anniversary celebration as we look back over the past 50 years here at Shell Point.